wanted the Mervishes. We wanted to be in the Princess of Wales. We want to be in these large scale spaces. We kept inviting them to come and they're like, we're very sorry. We missed the production. Maybe next time. We're like, no problem. We will bring it to your offices. And we went and performed the play on the 5th floor of the building of their offices. The show that changed my life is Adventures of a Black Girl in Search of God. I was involved. I was the assistant director.
Aren't you done?
Honey, I told you I have this meeting with Frank.
Who's Frank?
That's Frank.
Mom.
The show that changed my life was Adventures of a Black Girl in Search of God, directed and written by Janet Sears. It was a bold, exciting, ambitious, rhythmic, incredible explosion of beautiful theater. And I was the assistant director. And it was my first professional gig. And it shifted the way I thought about making work forever. I was coming out of theater school, already quite, had a lot of questions about what my role would be and where I saw myself. I had already moved away from my directing program in my 4th year and asked to do I was in the directing program in my 4th year, but I did ask to do an independent study on the aesthetics of African Canadian theater in response to sort of feeling like there was not enough cultural references for the work that I wanted to make in the studying that I was doing. And so coming out of there, and part of what I was doing in that program was assisting. And so I got to do this job with Janet. I was tasked to look at the African chorus that Janet wrote in. And the show was just really ambitious, really large scale. It was Obsidian came out of the gate like fire with Adventures of a Black Girl in Search of God in co-production with Nightwood Theatre. Huge, upwards of 25 people in the cast, original score. It's Canadian. It was just all of the things. It was a perfect intersection of all the things I was interested in. It gave me, it was a real confidence booster. It was like, it gave me my strut. Because I kind of just, my first show out of the gate was so beautiful and magical and weave together contemporary aesthetics with tradition. And this was actually a really big deal in the Black Canadian history. I would say it gave me my strut. It made me continue to dream big. It introduced me to Janet Sears, who became a mentor of mine, still is. And it also, there were so many artists in that show that I continued to collaborate with. Debbie Young, Anita Africa was, I think, the assistant stage manager. But then she was doing all this cool work. I got to know her there. So many people that I would later work with. Alison Sealy Smith was Mama in Raisin in the Sun, my first production at Soulpepper. So a lot of things lead back to that show for me. And Trey Anthony and I reconnected during that show, and she saw Adventures, and we met backstage, I remember, and she said, I wrote these series of monologues. I want to do a one-woman show. And that's where our journey began, working on the kink in my hair. I really do feel that my first job being so large scale and ambitious gave me the gusto that, brought us, it just kept happening. I've always kind of asked why not whenever we do shows, and I think I push for second lives. Often theater will create new Canadian work and they'll see one production and that will be it. And it's just not fair. And Trey's very much like that too. Trey is bold and together we were just, when we did the kink and we had such an incredible response at the Fringe Festival, we were like, we couldn't get it somewhere originally. We couldn't get it at a theater. And we're like, I just can't believe this. With this kind of response, nobody will invest in this. And I will say, Lane Coleman, who first produced it at Pass Marai, he really did believe in it. I definitely give him credit. He was a big supporter. So he gave us our first shot at it. And then we wanted, right away, we were like, next. We were like, the Mervishes. We want to be in the Princess of Wales. We want to be in these large scale spaces. And they had never even done a Canadian play at the Princess of Wales. And we kept inviting them to come, and they're like, we're very sorry, we missed the production, maybe next time. I'm like, no problem, we will bring it to your offices. And we went and performed the play on the 5th floor of the building of their offices. I think we just, as Black artists, we just knew what hunger we had to see our stories up there. And it was obvious, even with Adventures, like the kind of reaction people had to that show, the kind of reaction that was with the Fringe Festival. We had lineups around the block, and we were just saying, like, what is it going to take to make an investment in something like this? People clearly want to see this work. Same thing with Kim's. There was lineups around the block in the Fringe Festival with Kim's. Yeah, people are hungry for their stories, and not just Black people. Everybody just we want to know about each other. We're living in such a diverse city, and we want to know each other's secrets. We want to talk to each other. So I think just knowing that, and also feeling a little scrappy and feeling a little frustrated, we just kept pressing. And so Adventures, yeah, I would say it's the strut.